Welcome to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and Kayla Community Radio. NAMI is a national alliance on mental illness. We are the largest grassroots advocacy network for people with mental illness and their family members, with over 800 national affiliates and 15 Kansas affiliates, with NAMI Wichita being one of those 15. We provide awareness, support, education, and advocacy for people affected by mental illness. Our purpose here is to provide a community conversation on Kayla Radio that gives insight into what it's like to live with mental illness. Our intention and our hope is that our program will change attitudes, assumptions, and stereotypes about people with mental health conditions. My name is David Larson. I am very pleased and proud to be your host today, and I am a person living with mental illness. I am in recovery for major depressive disorder. Like everyone, I struggle with the ups and downs of emotions and the challenges of being fully human, but I am doing great. And I know I have many gifts to offer my family, my friends, and my community. And it is my pleasure to introduce our guest for today, Kayla. Hello, Kayla.
Hello.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Well, let me start out by asking you, where did you grow up and where were you born?
Right here in Wichita.
Right here in Wichita. Awesome. Yeah. And what school did you go to? High school?
I went to Cape and Mount Carmel.
Okay, so what is the
Crusader?
The Crusaders.
Crusader, yes.
Okay. So I do that because I'm not the one who's familiar with the mascots for the high schools. These two guys are. So they keep me straight on that. Let's talk about your family, if that's okay.
Sure.
Did you have a supportive family growing up?
Yeah, I had a pretty supportive family. So my parents are actually divorced. They divorced when I was about 5. They're both remarried, but they're all very close. It's always been one of the remarkable things that people comment on is just how odd it is to see a divorced couple who are still friends, but that's my
good.
Family. So
that's excellent. Now, do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I am the eldest of 7.
You're the oldest. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're the one who got to teach the younger ones what to do and what not to do.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So you were the teacher of the group.
I sure was.
That's awesome.
I still am. A lot of them are still pretty young. So.
Are they? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, so what is your diagnosis?
My diagnosis is schizophrenia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the listening audience, what does that mean for you?
It's still kind of something that I'm really figuring out. It's not anything that you think it is. So I don't have hallucinations. I don't hear voices or anything like that. For me, it's like mild bouts of psychosis, but I would say that it classifies more as like the catatonic type. So.
Okay.
I have a lot of negative symptoms more than I have positive symptoms.
Okay, and that's a new phrase for us here. What does negative symptoms and positive symptoms mean?
So negative symptoms, I guess I'll start with positive symptoms. Positive symptoms are more like hearing voices, having psychotic episodes, so delusional thinking, intrusive thoughts and behaviors, things like that. Whereas negative symptoms are going to be more of your social withdrawal, it's not really like depression because there isn't that sadness to it. It's more of just like an apathy, or like in catatonic schizophrenia, you could sit there for hours and just kind of just be not
just a veg.
Yeah,
okay.
A little bit, but you're still aware, you're still cognizant. You just kind of lose that motivating factor, I would say. And we joke about it, but my mom tells me that my voice gets monotone sometimes. But that's kind of part of it. You lose a little bit of that like inflection in your voice and just into your overall personality.
Okay.
So.
All right. So about when were you diagnosed?
I was actually diagnosed earlier this year.
Oh, okay.
So, pretty recent, pretty
Very
new diagnosis.
Recent. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
2018.
Yeah.
I also have ADHD, and that is equally, if not more so, of an impairment, I would say.
Okay. So that's a learning disability along with the not the mood disorder, the thought disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, schizophrenia is a thought disorder. That's something that I hadn't realized before. I made the mistake once of just sort of grouping them all together.
Yeah.
And it's awfully easy to do that, but it's wrong when you do that. There's definite delineations or separations.
Oh yeah, no, there are 3 different facets. There's I think it's disorganized, catatonic, and then psychotic schizophrenia. So.
Well, I'm going to take a moment to offer a thank you to our production team. Thank you, David Peterson, our executive producer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Mike Padilla, for being our technical producer.
Even though I messed up first.
You didn't mess up. You just gave us a little running start.
I'm feeling bad about that.
No, So this is Our Own Voice, and we are talking to Kayla, and we are going to take a quick break and be right back. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and Kaysen Community Radio. NAMI is a national alliance on mental illness. Our Own Voice is intended to humanize the misunderstood, highly stigmatized topic of mental illness by showing that it's possible and common to live well with a mental health condition. Now, Kayla, during the break, we were talking about stigma. Basically.
Yes.
And since I just mentioned stigma and something that's highly stigmatized, mental health is a very stigma topic. And so let's talk about stigma and in what ways have you encountered stigma in your life?
Well, I pretty much really don't ever talk about my diagnosis of schizophrenia very specifically for that reason. I think stigma is still too strong in our culture towards that. I'll talk about it like if we develop a conversation, get things going, but it's never something I introduce myself with. I try very specifically not to identify with it because I think that labels can sort of have that effect.
And that is a good point that, you sort of have to weigh the difference. Do you deal with the labels or do you choose not to deal with the labels? There's all sorts of labels you can attach to people, and some labels people will take as being horrible, and some labels people will take as being good. And so you just have to decide how you're going to do that. Well,
yeah, and the more you don't focus on it, the more you can move past it.
Yeah.
Is how I feel about it.
Especially when people look at you, and I mentioned this during the break, you're very well-spoken, you're a beautiful young lady, you are very capable and very talented, and people's first impression would not be someone who is dealing with schizophrenia.
Well, and I think that's important. An important thing to mention is that, like I said, when you remove the label, it's just not top of mind, and by mentioning a label, especially when you're first introducing yourself or choosing how you want to introduce yourself and identifying with words, the label, it's important. That's why it's important to me just not to focus on it, because you never know. I mean, like I said, one of the reasons it's so stigmatized is that people emphasize it and talk about it and use it as an identifier, or it's some sort of distinction, as some sort of term of distinction that it really isn't, because just when people are predisposed to identifiers and labels, that's really what's kind of framing their thinking a lot of times.
I have to interject here. I met Kayla down at Breakthrough Club, and I don't know if you'd agree with me, Kayla, but the Breakthrough Club, in my mind, is the most stigma-free place.
Oh, certainly.
And
yeah,
what the nice thing is, people don't ask, what's your mental illness? What's your mental illness?
Right.
They just go there and enjoy each other and work and have a good time.
I mean, often when I'm working, I completely forget that I'm even at a place with people who have mental illnesses.
Exactly.
So, and that's a very important facet and tenet of what Breakthrough is really all about.
It's very stigma-free.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because when you really get down to it and just start having conversations with people, you realize just how much alike we all are, and just people having conversations.
Everyone is a human being, and everyone
Right.
is to be welcomed and accepted for who they are. They are creations. They're wonderful. I think it's the Desiderata that talks about how we are creations of the universe, and we have every reason to be here. It's a great way to look at it.
Right. Even if you run into someone with disordered thinking, you can always manage to have some sort of conversation with them. It's not really what you think it is. Or some people, they just have a lapse in how their brain works, and they'll ramble off random things. You can ask them a very direct question, and they'll give you a very direct answer, and they're still there. They're still lucid in a lot of ways. So...
And I was going, forgive me, I was going to pass a joke right there that that my brain will snap and I'll have a lapse, and I do that all the time.
Yeah, it's sort of like Tourette's for your brain.
It just does that naturally, and I can't get my brain to work sometimes. So let me ask you another fun little question. Do
Sure.
you have any pets or hobbies?
I do. I have a couple of cats, Eric and Oslo.
Wonderful. Eric and Oslo. Those are great
That's
names.
Eric with a C.
Okay.
And then Oslo, named after the city. So.
Oh, okay. So do you have an affinity towards Scandinavians? Is that why Eric and Oslo?
The Eric the Red.
Yeah.
But his is spelled with a K, which is why I emphasize the C.
Okay.
It's Eric with a C. He is very American. But no, I don't have an affinity for Scandinavians.
Well, I was going to say because I'm Scandinavian.
Their culture, yes. I do actually really like the culture.
She really likes Vikings.
Yeah.
She's into Vikings.
That's awesome. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, this is Our Own Voice on Kaysen Community Radio. We are talking with Kayla about mental illness. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
If you would like to learn more about the National Alliance on Mental Illness and how you can get involved in mental health advocacy, please visit our website at NAMI.org.
Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and Kaysen Community Radio. NAMI is a National Alliance on Mental Illness. Now, Kayla, we were talking before in the previous section about you being at Breakthrough, and that's how David Peterson met you. So tell us more about Breakthrough. What do you do at Breakthrough?
I am the executive administrative assistant there, so I'm the assistant to the executive director, essentially.
Okay.
I also work part-time down in the clubhouse, working directly with members there.
What are some of the tasks that you do in the clubhouse?
In the clubhouse, so I help, or I pretty much conduct the newsletter. I also help conduct orientations, and down there, I'm the new member coordinator, essentially. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But so what did you do this morning? You actually cooked breakfast, didn't you?
Yeah. So every morning we do a community breakfast, like for the homeless, and anyone is literally invited. So you don't have to be homeless to come eat the breakfast. But I help do that as well.
So you are an all-around person.
Yeah.
You're doing all sorts of things.
And that's pretty much also the staff at Breakthrough. You have to kind of be a generalist.
Yeah.
You do a lot. You can help people with a lot of different things. So, like if someone needs help applying for something or some service, or if they need help gaining access to community resources, things like that.
Okay. Well, and we've talked with several people from Breakthrough, and this is sort of the whole model of the clubhouse, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yeah, that everyone is capable of doing various tasks, and you're sort of asked when you first go there, for the day, what task do you want to do?
Yes.
And they go ahead and, they're given a list of possibilities. They choose, they go for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even if someone just needs a place to go and sit with people, that's pretty much what Breakthrough is. If you need it to be that, when I say you have to be a generalist, I mean, pretty much everyone who's coming in there, they're coming in there for different reasons. Their day there is going to be very different, and you facilitate and help and cater to all of that. So,
okay. Well, I know for me, as long as I'm doing something, it helps me to keep from ruminating on my thoughts and that lead into depression. And so the more activities I can do, the better off I am.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, and so it would just make sense that you have activities to do, so you do them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. No, like I said, that's what Breakthrough has to offer amongst many other things. So.
Okay. Well, so what else can you tell us about Breakthrough?
Well, I mean, like I said, I didn't really know what it was when I was even a member, when I was introduced to it, and it has really been an eye-opening experience for me, just because it is so much more than even just going somewhere because you have a mental illness or even working for the day. It's a community of people, really, just a very extremely supportive social network, and it's established to be that way. But there's a lot of advocacy work as well, just fighting the stigma of mental illness.
Yeah.
We're actually going up next week for Advocacy Day in Topeka.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to set up a booth there just to fight the stigma.
Yeah, and I believe our previous interviewer gave that date, so I'm going to go ahead and give the date again, and that is March 14th.
March 14th.
That's right. And what are the times? Do you remember off the top of your head what the times are?
So it's like I think 8 to 4.
Is it 8 to 4? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was something to 4. So
yeah.
So it's 8 to 4, and it's going to be a wonderful experience. I'm planning on going up. I wasn't until Teresa from last time convinced me, and so I said, okay, I'll do it.
And I believe you can still register through the Kansas Mental Health Coalition.
Ah, okay. I probably need to do that then. Awesome. So, what else can we talk about? Well, how about this one? So help our listeners understand that every person with a mental health condition can hope for a brighter future. In other words, what words of hope can you share with us about those who are living with mental health conditions?
Well, I mean, just to keep going, to keep trying. Like, every day is going to be, especially at first, it's going to be difficult. But the hopeful part about it is, and I kind of identify more so, like, there are some celebrities, I won't mention them now, but with their stories, but just seeing what you can overcome and still just having had a mental illness, whether or not you do, but just, and I don't want to go into that again because that sort of gets into the stigma, but if you've ever just had any sort of difficulty, you know how hard it can be just to get through the day sometimes, even just waking up, even just taking a shower, even just if that's your one goal for the day, at least let it be that goal then that you get accomplished. But just getting from that point, and then especially at Breakthrough, being able to be at a place where you are doing other things and other tasks and just moving forward in some way, that part gives me hope that there is a community of people who are out there as...
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to cut you off right there.
Okay.
We are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is a national alliance on mental illness. Now, David, before the break, normally we have you talk about what special number is that we all have that we like to share. And I forgot to do that this time because I was so involved with what Kayla was talking about. So what is that number?
Well, that number, which I will give it to you in a second here, I want to just say the beautiful intro music and exit music is done by Mr. David Larson, and
Thank
that's
you.
beautiful. But NAMI Wichita has a voicemail that you can call, and we will try to get back with you as soon as possible. It's 316-686-1373, 316-686-1373. And please call, and NAMI, like you said, David, is for those with a mental illness and also families who have someone in their family with a mental illness. And we have support groups. We have classes that can help people and be supportive. And this is what our goal is to be support for those with a mental illness or someone that has someone in their family with a mental illness.
And when we say family, we're not just talking about the blood relation. We're talking about friends who consider each other brothers and sisters. You know, even a friend is welcome at the NAMI groups.
Exactly.
And not only that, but healthcare professionals, and we even have CIT police officers.
That's exactly
so
right.
You're all welcome to come to our NAMI support groups and to our affiliate meetings that we have the first of the month and everything like that, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, Kayla, I want to jump ahead and jump behind, I guess, because
Sure.
I did ask you this question earlier about hobbies, but I want to sort of jump ahead and ask you about coping skills.
Okay.
And you can sort of blend the hobbies in with the coping skills because they are coping skills in a way.
Yeah.
So what kind of hobbies and coping skills do you have?
I would say first and foremost, it's most important to be on the right medication and the right therapist. Those are two easy things like to get figured out. Not easy, but just to have those in place,
Yes.
and then deal with strategies that you can kind of fill your time with, I think is most important, and keep trying until you find the right ones.
And I want to underscore that you said both medication and therapy.
Yes.
Because both of those work together. It's
Right.
You can do medicine or you can do therapy, and either one can be helpful, but not near as helpful as both of them together.
Yeah, definitely in tandem. They go
Yes.
hand in hand, and it's so much easier when you have someone else to help you figure out your problems.
Yeah.
Which I think is very important. So it's important to be on the right medication. It's important to find the right therapist and psychiatrist. Aside from that, there are lots of things. I really like to go on walks. I like to get physical, go outside, just kind of get a little more in tune with my environment and what's
That's
going on.
excellent.
And then if pets are a good coping strategy, just to have that companionship if you just can't stand people for a day or something
Yeah.
like that. So it's important to have artistic or creative outlets. I'm not always in the mood for that. So I also rely on work. So just getting a job, even if it's just a part-time job, just getting out there, let someone else give you an agenda for the day kind of a thing.
And you also mentioned during break about you do writing, correct?
Yes, so I do a little bit of creative writing as well. It's something that I find very therapeutic to get your thoughts out on paper without it being too journally. For some reason, I'm kind of averse to the daily journaling thing.
Which is fine. Some people can't do that. Some people can. And
Yeah.
you're a wonderful example of someone who doesn't journal every day, but yet is still able to go to that pen and paper or computer
Right.
screen or whatever and be the writer.
Yeah, well, for me with journaling, it's more so like if I'm just having a weird day, I don't necessarily want to write about that and just have that permanent record to go back and reflect on, or sometimes it's just best to let those things pass And that's one of the best things I've found with not journaling. And I still I can still process things that go on, but for me, with writing I much prefer just to be a creative writer, to kind of I prefer humorous styles, so just to kind of play around with those sorts of things.
Okay.
It always puts me in a better
mood. Have you
mood.
heard of a gratitude journal? That's
Yeah,
a new
no,
thing that I've
I
heard
can't
about.
do the gratitude journal.
You can't?
Yeah, no. For me, I try to practice a gratitude mindset. So to not put so much emphasis on gratitude all the time with the gratitude journal. For me, it got to be a little bit of overkill, but I have heard wondrous things about people who can do that.
But it's good. It's good that you said you practice a mindset.
Yes,
So.
I try to incorporate it into my overall mindset and being.
Well, I'm going to have to cut you off here. We're thoroughly enjoying having you talk, but we have to thank everyone for listening to Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio. Thank you, Kayla, for talking to us about mental health issues, and join us for our next Our Own Voice program.